and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit of the WoW podcast, Blue Please, over on CynicalBrit.com. Wow, I have not said that in a while, haven't I? Whew, it's a bit of a classic. Well, welcome back to World of Warcraft leveling. It has been several months since our last confession. As you probably heard on the vlog, and if you haven't listened to the vlog, and I even hate using the word vlog or vlog or whatever the hell you want to call it, it's a horrible word, disgraceful thing. Then I mentioned that since this is primarily a WoW channel, as in the WoW stuff and actually the DC Universe stuff as well is the stuff that gets the most views, and the WoW stuff is what brought a lot of the subscribers here, it seems reasonable to continue to make WoW content beyond simply the WoW Easter eggs and the Azeroth Daily. So, we're back to the WoW leveling. Now, my assessment of the videos, bearing in mind the reception of some of the Mount Hyjal stuff that I did at the start of Cataclysm, was that people are more interested in seeing the older zones, because they can't be bothered to go and do them themselves, than to do the zones that are just recently in their mind. For instance, a lot of Alliance players who play exclusively Alliance have, of course, never done any of these quests, and even if you've done these quests in the past, they are now completely different. The areas are also completely different. We had a vote at the end of the Stone Talon series as to which of the two areas you would like me to go to, either the Desolus or the Southern Barrens, and the majority vote was fairly heavily in favour of the Southern Barrens, which makes sense considering, one, Yogscast already did Desolus and assessed that it was bloody boring, and secondly, that the Southern Barrens is something that not an awful lot of people have actually seen. Now, I'm thankful to say, bear in mind I'm doing all this commentary in post, just like we used to do in the old times, that the Southern Barrens, at least the initial quests, are fairly entertaining, and I do like the theme of the Southern Barrens. Now, you don't need to see all of this flying, so I'm skipping ahead to our first quest, and you need to go via Stone Talon in order to really get here. It's kind of odd, you're supposed to be sent there by the War Chief at the end of the Stone Talon zone, but you're actually not. I don't know if it bugged out, but whatever the case, you can pick up a Warlord's command that will take you via the Stone Talon. If you go east out of the Stone Talon via Malakajin, you will reach this area, and this area is called the High Road, which is where the Horde is launching attacks on the Alliance in the Barrens. Now, the way that this zone is designed is cool for several reasons. It demonstrates one of the new ideas and philosophies behind questing zones in Cataclysm, and that's the idea of momentum. You are propelled through the zone in a way that makes sense, as opposed to, hey, go here, go here. For instance, we saw some stuff over in the Eastern Plaguelands on the daily grind, the way that they take you via this traveling merchant cart kind of thing around these different areas, and it makes sense that you're there at the time. And in this case, this little quest right here will actually take you to the next area in a logical fashion because of the way that they've made the mobs spawn. So, for instance, here, we've got to go kill 3 of these scouts. Now, these scouts will be seen along this road. By the time you've killed the 3rd, you will basically be in sight of the next area you need to be in. And that's when the quest hand-in comes up. So you don't go backwards. It never backtracks you. It makes you go forward, forward, forward. That is so cool. I'm sorry, it really, really is. It's a very, very great way to actually design this particular intro to the zone. And I like the amount of variety that there is amongst the zone intros. Like, for instance, some of them are cutscenes, some of them where you ride along and you can control the view of your character, but you've got a lot of talking and stuff going on, etc., etc. And this one is yet another intro whereby it's like, you know, go kill 3 of these scouts. And it just so happens to be that, as you can see, the 3rd scout is just within range of the place we actually need to be for the next bit. And as we go through this zone, we're going to find out some very neat things, and the method in which you actually fight in this zone is quite unique for the Horde, particularly if you are used to the old Barrens. Now, let's be totally honest, when it comes to the old Barrens, the Horde were pretty much like a boss. Yeah? We were questing like a boss. We were getting Quillboar tusks like a boss. We were slaughtering Planestriders like a boss. We were indeed running for 10 minutes at a time with absolutely nothing worthwhile appearing like a boss. We were not finding Mancrick's wife like a boss. We were spamming in Baron's chat like a boss. Now we're not, because as it turns out, we've lost control of a large portion of the Barons to the Alliance. And as you can see, they're fortifying this area, and we are now acting like, well, one person might say like terrorists, and they would be Fairly accurate, because of course one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter, and we are using guerrilla-style tactics against the Alliance. Here's the first neat thing about this zone. I'm gonna go do a little bit of abseiling. Yes, and why not? Why not? There is no reason. I mean, we could have very easily jumped down there. Admittedly, it would have hurt any non-healing character, so... You do have that rope, which allows you to get back up there. Now, we got a set of quests in order to start sabotaging this area. Gotta kill some tower wardens. We gotta go get some stolen Horde arms, confiscated indeed by the Alliance when groups of Horde soldiers gave up when a mass attack happened in this particular area. By surprise, of course. It's not like the Alliance could ever beat the Horde in open combat, but as it turns out, they managed to sneak in here like the rats they are. Gotta rearm them and allow them to regain a little bit of their dignity and honor. That's what they're aiming to do there. They've already disgraced the Horde. They're pretty much going to die anyway. That's just the way that it is. Again, quite grim, dark and grim, and you'll find out a little bit more of that as we go in. In the meantime, I'm going to demonstrate just how overpowered this level 31 Enhancement Shaman actually is. It's quite OP, let's be honest. I've got this healing ability. Ooh, look, 1.5 second cast. Suddenly most of my health is back. Isn't that wonderful? And, of course, I've almost got infinite mana because of the mana refunding mechanics of an Enhancement Shaman. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Pretty damn wonderful. Charge our way through there, no problems whatsoever. You got to pick up some of those armaments. Let's see one there. Actually, quite small crates. Unusually small crates. I think that's a new crate model. I know, it's thrilling and exciting. It's just what you always wanted. It's okay, guys. We can justify the purchase of Cataclysm. We've got a new flat crate model. Absolutely awesome. Wonderful, wonderful. No, not really, but it does the job. Now, the neat thing about this area that you're going to find out a little bit later on is that you have to act kind of like a sneaky dude. Now, I wouldn't call this stealth carnage. Actually, yes, I would. That's exactly what it is. This is stealth carnage, because in World of Warcraft, nobody has a line of sight more than about 20 feet. Yeah? I don't know. Perhaps they all need to go to spec savers, but whatever the case, that guy can't see me until I get right in his face. And none of the other guys are going to come at me, bro. Come at me as much as I would like them to. So, as it turns out, there are actually guards around the outskirts of this particular Alliance encampment that are level 40 and will slaughter you. So you do have to be a little bit careful as to where you go. Now, these guys are the guys we need to rearm, and they've all been disgraced. Yes, and they ended up giving up and surrendering, a bunch of cowards that they are. But you let them regain a little bit of their honor and dignity by going on a suicide rampage within there. And also this guy, who doesn't have any eyes. Yes, indeed. He has no eyes. He was literally beaten and tortured, and the guy at the top of this tower was responsible for that. That's pretty damn grim stuff, isn't it? But we're going to go up there and teach him a lesson. We're going to take his eyes, take his face off. And again, like some of the named mobs in Cataclysm, quite a lot of them, he does a little bit more than just stand around. He's got more HP than your average mob, and he's also got a deadly poison ability. Shouldn't really threaten you all that much, but it's kind of neat that he does at least have something he can do. It adds a little bit of spice to this particular event, and as you are well aware, you gotta have spice. There we go. And grab one of them as well. There we go. Little flat pack things from Ikea, as you can tell right there. So for the first time ever, a few weeks ago, I actually went into an Ikea, and boy was that a shocking experience. It's like going into Molten Core for the first time. It actually is as well. It's a very, very linear dungeon. If you've ever been into an Ikea, you'll realize that, like a raid, it's quite advisable to go in a group, because otherwise you might end up wiping in there. Trust me, you get lost very easily. You can be accosted by salesmen. You can end up buying things that you didn't mean to buy. And obviously, when it comes to the repair bills and indeed the costs of doing a raid on Ikea, yeah, it's quite expensive. So you go through all of this stuff. You've got to fight your way through shelf upon shelf and wave upon wave of trash. You end up picking up a bunch of stuff that you don't actually want, but you feel like you should really take it anyway because it's spoils of war. Now, when you look at it from the outside, it appears to be this absolutely massive temple with plenty of bounty and treasure ready to be taken, ready to be explored. And when you finally enter it, you realize it is little but a linear maze designed to waste your time and make you come out with full bags and a lighter purse. And yes, indeed, that's exactly what happens. And you vow never to go back in there again. But next week, you're right back in there from the start once again, as if nothing had happened, because you just have to get that sweet, sweet Swedish loot. Indeed, Ikea will be the next raid dungeon that has been confirmed for Tier 12 content. And I can guarantee it will make the scrubs cry. Speaking of making the scrubs cry, so these dudes are level 40, as I suddenly realize, like, why can't I kill it? Why am I losing so much health? Oh dear. As my mix-scrolling battle text alerts me of the fact that I'm about to die in a horrible manner, I run away and I realize I can't get away from these guys, can I? It's just not gonna happen. Can I overheal them? No. As overpowered as this heal is for the shaman, you know for a fact that it's not going to be enough. They're beating me down to an inch of my life. The level 29 orc, so desperate to regain his honor, can't even hit the bloody thing. Oh, you are useless. You are damn useless, but it's okay, folks, because shamans are overpowered, as you can tell, because you can self-res and frost shock. Or in this case, just self-res and run the hell away like a sensible person. Ugh. That reincarnation is so handy. How did I live without it all of these years? That said, I am missing teleport and evocation and a wide variety of other things. It's funny rolling up another class when you basically never do this. This is the furthest I've ever gotten ult without using the recruit a friend system. I have a level 63 human rogue, and I only got there because we RAF'd all the way up to level 60, and then raided from 60 to 63, because it was my classic raiding guild we did a while ago. I believe that was when we were so very bored of a Trial of the Crusader. Oh yes. But I like the way that this is done. It genuinely makes you feel like you are sneaking around, even if you know for a fact that you're not, and the suspension of disbelief is required in a very real way. Because you know for a fact that in any other game, this would be sneaking around, avoiding the big bad guards, like, say, an Assassin's Creed style thing. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to describe a game that was actually difficult in any way, shape, or form. Assassin's Creed hardly qualifies, but whatever the case, you know what I'm talking about. A little bit of stealth action going on. It's about as close as you can get to that. As much as I would love for them to implement something like that in WoW, I know for a fact they'd probably screw it up, so it's maybe for the best that they don't. There we go, rearm these guys, you go fight for your freedom! And all that good stuff, and I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Sounds like a good plan. Yes, now, I do, as it happens, have access to that rope, so I can get all the way back up there. But I like the fact that we're fighting a kind of guerrilla war going on here, and that the theme of the quests are all based around the fact that the Horde has completely lost control of this area. And as opposed to a lot of other areas that are dominated by various different groups, the idea of this being contested territory is now, probably for the first time in Azerothian content, as opposed to, say, Burning Crusade or something like that, like a contested area should be. I remember going back to Ashenvale. The first time I ever went into Ashenvale, the only feeling that I ever got that was contested was the fact that I kept getting ganked by Night Elves. In this area, this genuinely feels like it's contested. There are quests where you are directly going up against the other faction, and no doubt, if you are the other faction in this area, you are doing something about the Horde as well. So, yeah, I like it. I really do. It's got a good theme to it. Now, we're going to head on over to the next area. And as I said before, this keeps the momentum going. You don't stay in one area for too long, and it's fairly obvious as to why you stuck around in that particular area. You don't have to. That was pretty much all optional. But here we go. So onward, onward, onward for great justice and all that good stuff. Drive the Alliance from our fair area. I would like to say it's the Fair Barrens, but it certainly isn't anymore. It's a goddamn mess. Look at that. But it's nice to see one of the most drastically changed areas from an interesting perspective, i.e. high up in the cliff tops. This high road whereby the Alliance cannot get a foothold is the only safe area around here for the Horde. Also, we got some angry Tauren broads with big axes, and you know for a fact that they are the most threatening things in the world. You know, we got a few of those and threw them at Deathwing. Well, probably wouldn't end well, but you get the point. Their hearts would be in the right place. At least for a few seconds until Deathwing ripped them out of their damn chests. Right. Now, here's the cool thing. You learn a little bit of lore right here about what exactly happened. So, the forces at Honor's Stead were actually caught unawares. Very unpleasant. It was a sneaky area. They actually did a bait-and-switch attack on the crossroads, and they were about to try and dislodge them there after they'd taken hold of the area, and then the Cataclysm happened, and the general told them all to pull back and refortify. Yeah. Now, as a result of that, a lot of the guys who are either stranded or simply decided not to go started holding up in this area and started fighting a guerrilla war on the area. Very cool. Very neat concept. A big fan of that. Now, as regards to what we actually have to do here, I'd love to tell you that it was extremely cool and unique, but this is World of Warcraft, and there are still the same kind of quests. I just like the fact that these quests are a little bit more involved. It would have been nice if, say, that story was told in a way that was a little bit more cinematic. I mean, for instance, what would have stopped a very brief cinematic right there? We've seen that they are willing to do it. And I'm not talking about a Wrathgate-style cinematic. I'm talking about a Hillsbrad-style cinematic. You know, a little bit of a panning over there, maybe just show something that's not actually there, the Alliance attacking the area in numbers, etc., and put a little bit of voice acting in there, and that would have been way more engaging, as opposed to simply putting up an optional little text display that you have to scroll through. Again, World of Warcraft is not a perfect game, unfortunately. It is a game that is marred by its age and, indeed, the restrictions of its engine. It's one of the things I like about DC Universe, and no doubt will like about the Old Republic, is the fact that they do engage you in the story via the medium of modern things such as voice acting and cinematics. Please, by all means, use them when necessary. In the meantime, grabbed ourselves a new talent. Oh yes, very, very nice indeed. Gives a chance to inflict the damage of a Lightning Shield orb, if Lightning Shield is active, when using certain abilities, including Lava Lash. Nice. A little bit extra damage, nothing wrong with that. I do like the enhancement shaman. I think it's an awful lot of fun, certainly to level with. I don't know how fun it is in raiding, but it's basically hacking through the enemy using elemental forces and big axes. Can you complain about that? I certainly hope not. I find that hilarious. It's a fantastic thing to do. Now, over here, there's not really an awful lot to show you. It's just a bunch of generic kill quests. Kill some raptors, kill some alliance dudes to show them we mean business, etc., etc. So I'm not going to show you any of that. That's all getting completely and totally skipped right now. And the one and only important thing in this area is killing the officer who, for some inexplicable reason, is wandering around on her own. Not a particularly smart thing to do. One has to wonder why the Alliance keeps losing everything. That's probably why. As we've said before, they are not all that smart when it comes to the military side of things. Right, we can grab that one. That's your basic run-of-the-mill. Hey, here's some plans. Better report back. Yeah, that's a good way of doing things, good way to tie you in, and indeed remind you that you're supposed to go back to the area that all of these other quests tell you to go to, just in case you'd forgotten. Hi-ho, Silver! A transition! Isn't it wonderful? All the downtime mysteriously disappears, thanks to the wonders of modern editing technology. Okay, there you go. So what they're trying to do is to create a new road which will take them all the way through the Barrens and completely cut off supply lines of the Horde. That would not be good. However, we can delay it by killing the Surveyor. And you know what? I feel justified in that because he's wearing a silly hat. I can't take him seriously. I'm sorry. I can't. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I also can't take his name seriously, and indeed the Orc made a very good comment. They all seem thin and weak. Zykes. Reminds me of Scooby-Doo. And you know what? If I was a surveyor, I wouldn't get very far in the industry if I was reminding my employers, or indeed my mortal enemies, of Scooby-Doo. Onward, onward, onward. Where is it, you might ask? Well, after 5 minutes of traveling, I managed to find him. He was not even anywhere near where I thought he would be. It's like, go check up and down the road. Well, he's not up there. He does patrol around, and in fact, he was the opposite direction. Oh, hey! Thanks, Tidy Plates. God, I love that mod so very, very much. Tidy Plates is what's showing you those very clear names and health bars as you get close to particular mobs, which is great because the default ones blur at about 5 meters out. Again, looks like the Blizzard UI designers needed to go to bloody spec savers. Now, because I'm an enhancement shaman, I can kill an infinite number of creatures. Indeed, I can confirm that that is the case. So first, we'll deal with Zykes. Sorry, Zykes, there you go. And we can kill him as well. The Raptors decided to get in on the action. Feels a little bit malicious for it. It's okay! We have a dude to help us there, thank God. Yes, you go and do something about that. Chop him into tiny little pieces. Death, destruction, and horrible, horrible things inflicted on... Why is the area suddenly on fire? Apparently I'm just that damn awesome. Behold! There we go. Right, so, as I stand in this collection of bodies and idly slaughter the last of my pitiful adversaries, I must say goodbye for this particular episode, ladies and gentlemen. My name's been TotalBiscuit, and I will see you next time.